what is up, you guys? So I guess I'm in a box now in the corner, and that's new. I mean, I could have always done this, but I don't know, never felt like it. So the sound you just heard is the sound we're gonna be making, but I do want to talk a bit about the synth for a sec. This is one of the new synth patches I'm making. From every month I like to make like 128 new silent patches, and with this one right here, I'm trying to make my newest patches be really versatile and have many functions, and not just be like a one-trick pony kind of sound, which a lot of sound design is, but that's okay. So with this sound, I wanted it to be like kind of percussive and have like that plucky percussive sound like this. Maybe they'll go a little lower. Let me just delete this right here and demonstrate. Anyway, so it's not just percussive though. I wanted to be able to play chords on this, and you know, I wanted it to morph into other sounds, and I wanted to do a bunch of crazy stuff. So I wanted it to have three functions, which is when you're sound designing, if you know what you want, then things are less tricky. So I knew I wanted to be percussive, I wanted to be able to play chords, and I wanted to have it morph and kind of phase into a different sound. So here's kind of what it sounds like with chords. I'm just gonna hold 3 notes down, and as I hold it down, it's going to become a different sound. So I'm gonna just hold down some notes. Still holding down those notes. Okay, sounded kind of funny by itself. I should just demonstrate with a little backbeat, so I will do the same, but this time in the context of a beat. So yeah, it morphs, you can play chords on it, and it's percussive, so it's a really cool sound. And other than just silent, I added on vinyl distortion, a little bit saturator, and wow filters. So I'm going to turn these off because these are extra things. It's not what you might want. These are just my options that I like to have, and I throw on a little bit of simple delay also. So this is what it really sounds like by itself. That's what it sounds like by itself. So now let's make this in silence. So first thing you're going to do is go to menu, and then you're going to initialize your preset. And next thing you're going to do, so we're just going to start off from left to right and top to bottom in the oscillator part A. So we're going to turn off our retrigger. Actually, let's start up here. So let's bring this up to 16 voices. And just leave a typical saw wave here for oscillator 1. Bring that up to 8, and we're going to turn off retrig. We're going to fine tune it slightly so that all the different fine tunings kind of have an overall detuned sound that makes it sound wider. And so that is going to be at point 12, and we're going to phase this to 180 degrees and detune it to 3.52, and we're going to set all of our oscillators to the phase of 180 except for one oscillator, so that way those 3 oscillators that are in the same phase start at the same time, but the one that isn't will kind of come in a different time, and it will always be unpredictable because I think retrigger will be off for that oscillator, and it'll kind of just always make a different sound, and it will make things sound really cool and wide and crazy. So now for our amp envelope, our attack is going to be all the way down, so that way we're just getting the straight attack right away, no mockery, full in round. And our decay and sustain up all the way. Release is at 2.80. And for oscillator 2, we're going to bring this up 2 octaves. We're not going to fine tune it. It's going to be a pulse wave. 8 voices retrig will be on for this one because I do want the pulse wave to always start the same way every time I trigger a new note. So it will always just be that way. Because if I turn off retrigger for a square wave, then things can really get too unpredictable. So now for our phase here, we're just going to turn this up to 180 degrees. Like I said earlier, we're going to do that for all of them except one oscillator. We're going to detune this second oscillator by 3.38, and that's pretty much it. Everything else is kind of the same. We're going to go to filter A. So our cutoff is going to be all the way up, reso, and drive all the way down. We're going to select a low pass, and that's going to be on the 24 dB slope. And if you want, you can copy this now, and so by clicking on that little C right there, and you can just paste it now into part B, because we're going to go to part B right now, and just paste in that little filter. Well, bam, there you go. And now for our first oscillator in part B, we're going to bring this up an octave, leave it on a saw wave, 8 voices, and we're going to fine tune it to 0.08. And now the phasing is going to be all the way at 0, so that's like the starting point. Retrig is going to be off on this one. Okay, I guess it'll be off. And we're going to leave everything else the same. So that's all we got to do for that one. For our amp envelope here, we're going to have a little bit of an attack at 0.98. And that's just so that we can let part A be our main attack, and part B will kind of be like the layer that comes in right after. But it's very fast, so it's not like it's taking a while to get there. It's always going to trigger and play this part B sound too. And our decay and sustain again are up all the way. Release is at 2.11. And now for oscillator 2 here, we're going to bring this up 2 octaves. We're going to fine tune it to 0.17. This is going to be another saw wave because I did want to play chords, and I was just thinking super saw, so I added a lot of saw waves. And that's going to be up to 8 voices also, and we're going to leave retrig off. Phase, again, 180 degrees, 180 degrees. We're going to detune this a lot too by 6.05. And that's about it for oscillators. And now for our main filter, our cutoff is going to be up all the way. Reso is going to be at 1.43, key track at 4.10, and warm drive is on. And I hope you guys are following along, so when I click on a parameter, you can see that its settings are right here. So I mean, I know everyone knows that, but in case you're just like somehow kind of new to Sylenth, then that's why I point that out. And let's go now here to our modulation envelopes, which is pretty much using envelopes to modulate whatever you select. And so we're going to put a pitch A and B and a reso A and B, and we're going to bring the reso up all the way to 10. We're going to have our pitch one at -0.29, so just so it gives us that percussive pluck at the beginning. And why it does that is because the attack is at 2.07, so it's kind of appearing like it's at the beginning of the sound, but it's still late enough to kind of affect the overall, I guess, body. So it's kind of in like a nice sweet spot to give us a plucky percussive sound. And the decay here is at 8.43, sustain at 6.72, and release is all the way up at 10. And now for the reason why the sound morphs when you hold down a note is because I have a phaser on, and I guess I'll show you both the phaser and this at the same time. The phaser here is down all the way, so when I'm playing quick notes like this, you don't hear a phaser. But if you hold down the note, then down here the phaser starts to move up the frequency because the attack is all the way up at 9.48. So as I hold down a note, it's going to start phasing. Which is, I got the idea to do that, really I got the idea from Sylenth because Sylenth allows me to do it, but also because when you listen to build-ups and things like that, you always hear like that phasing effect come into play. And really what you're doing is just you have a phaser and then you're automating the phaser frequency. So how cool is Sylenth for letting us also do that to our synths? And so we're going to just have the phaser frequency go up all the way to 10. The attack, again, I already said was 9.48, decay all the way up, sustain at 4.94, and release all the way down. And let's see, now for the phaser, I think I didn't touch anything except dry wet is at 100%. Feedback could be at halfway, but mine's at 49%. 50% won't matter. These are all the way down. I turned those down. Spread all the way up to 10, and I didn't touch these. So also the LFO here is not doing anything. If you look at the pitch A and B, it's at 0, so that means that there is no pitch being affected at all. This is completely off. So don't worry about this LFO. It's just something I was trying out, didn't like. For distortion, I added a foldback. The amount is up all the way, and dry wet is at 10% or 10.48%. So just very subtle. You can add more or less distortion if you want. I'll move on to chorus now. So chorus is at 17.62%, depth all the way up, rate right down the middle, delay all the way down, feedback halfway pretty much, and that's it. For delay, I have 30.48%, so it's kind of a lot of delay, but not too much, hopefully. And I low cutted everything beneath 250 hertz pretty much. I didn't really touch any of this. Feedback is halfway, width is kind of around 30%, spread is 50%, smear is all the way down. I didn't touch the high cut. If you want to cut out some of that white noise kind of stuff, then you can use this. So my left delay is at is 1/4 T, and my right delay is 1/16. I like combining the 1/4 and the 1/16 together, as long as I have one of them be a triplet. So for this one, I decided that the 1/4 would be the triplet. And now for the reverb, I have just 31% of dry wet. Width is up all the way. Size is at 7.74, so it's up slightly from where it is by default when you first turn this on. Pre-delay exactly in the same spot, just 100 milliseconds, and damp is all the way down. And so let me see, I also have a little bit of portamento here at 2.33, not enough to really affect the overall sound, but if you want to include that too, there it is. And I brought my bend range, my mod wheel kind of pitch bend range to up to 12, so that way you could automate that too. And one last thing that I know everyone might have missed if I didn't bring it up, I was about to forget to bring it up, but my mix A is at 4.08 and my mix B is at 6.49, and my master volume is up all the way because it's kind of quiet inside of Sylenth. And that's pretty much it for Sylenth, and you should pretty much have this sound. God, I just love how that phaser kind of modulates and morphs it into it has that phasing sound, but it's morphing it into a different sound, because as soon as it gets over this phasing hump, and the decay starts to kick in now, and the sustain also, it starts to have a low end reinforcement, which is kind of cool, especially if you're side chaining to a kick and it's just very simple, minimalistic. It's kind of like a transition, but you can use this sound for hardstyle, and you can use it for main room type stuff. Anyway, so I guess I'll do the delay real quick. The simple delay, if you want a little bit of delay. Mine, I just link both sides to 16 and just have a little bit of feedback at 37%, and dry wet is at 19%. I have a little bit of utility, just kind of adding a very slight amount of width to this, so now it's at 108% for width, and just turn this on too. This is my sidechain compressor. I'm not going to really go over that because, you know, there are other people on YouTube that kind of go over that stuff, and I figure that's one of the things everyone knows how to do, so I'm not going to really do that myself. And now I'm going to turn on the effects. So this is what it sounds like just by itself, and I like using this preset by itself. Just, it sounds good enough already, but I like to add extra processing to presets that I use often so that I can get a different sound with my processing. So this is my now different sound. And I'll kind of explain why I used each of these. I think I still need to, you know, bring it down a bit. These effects are a little bit too dominating. But the reason why I brought the vinyl distortion is because I wanted to hear more of that pluck. So if I turn it off and turn it on, maybe if I bring the drive down a bit, I can hear that pluck in there, especially because the delays are now there too. So that's the difference there. So I brought this to, it's pretty much kind of similar to where I had it before. It's in the 300 to 400 hertz range, and it's all the way up at 3. Drive is at 0.06. I mean 0.60. And I just turned this off and left these all the way down because I don't really mess with this stuff too often when I'm using the vinyl distortion. And for saturator, I just wanted a bit more color. Obviously, saturators are really good for adding tone, so I like it. And so I do the same exact things when I use the saturator inside of Ableton. I always bring my drive up slightly, anywhere from 3 to 5 dB, never more or less. It's always between that range. And then I turn these on, and I never really use these other waves except for sinoid fold, I guess, and wave shaper. That's like my favorite one. So the reason why I like wave shaper is because then you can go down here and kind of make your own little line. So I always start here with this, and I brought this up to 46%. So this is line, and then the next thing I do is I curve it, see how much curvature I want. So, you know, it can really get really gritty sounds from this. Sometimes it's like way too much, so I always leave it really low. So I think I had it around 11%, something like that. And for depth, I went to 43%, so that would be like, you know, that kind of thing. So I had it around that range. I don't really touch these often or really ever feel like adding those because, you know, I kind of like the sound as it is now. And drive's just up all the way, and this stuff down here is kind of extra, but I add it because it's a little bit more texture. So this is 4.19 for depth, width is at 46%, frequency is 868 hertz, and the bass is at 7.43. And that's pretty much it for saturator. And then the wow filter, what I did with the wow filter is I wanted to use the LFO on the cutoff so that for the high end sizzle, so if you listen to the highest sizzle, so kind of everything past 5K sort of, you can kind of hear that's going like zzz, like that, zzz, but obviously much higher than I can mimic. And now with this on, the LFO is kind of gonna make it go zzz. And that's something I just wanted because I don't like straight linear sizzles. I kind of wanted some bounce in it. And so all I did was just throw on a band reject. Overdrive is sort of right down here. Reso's in between 30 and 50. The cutoff is kind of right before 5K. And then I just right clicked, brought the LFO up all the way. The LFO is just 1/16. It's a triangle. I liked it on sine, but I just wanted to be extra fancy, and I moved it to a triangle. And the mix is slightly beneath 50, and master is right where it's always at when you turn this on, I think. So that's like 125. And that's pretty much all I did for this sound. So hopefully you guys like this stuff. Like, comment, subscribe. Those things help me. And